We definitely can, Dakota. We are so ready to go. OG up against MVP. What a terrific series.
5 melee brawlers. They were 4-0 stage. Let's continue that streak.
Yeah, I want to see it. We've seen him on the main turn. Team Bracer Spirit, that is MVP.
Places everyone.
And they'll do it up against OG. OG panelists, both the fun and the draft panel, they were all looking to say OG, they're the favorites coming into this series, but MVP, draft panel kind of blend towards
That's
them.
the spirit.
They're stuck with the brawlers. Have they got enough to bring down OG at least one, maybe two games in this best of three?
I think with this draft, yes. In the group stage, they picked a lot of non-QO heroes. I think he's kind of like the embodiment of aggression with the
Someone's dropped out like a kid in school.
PL, just heroes that can be in your face all the time. And then they picked them some Timbersaw here and there, which didn't quite seem up his alley. They picked them with the Tinker, which they lost. And we saw the Alchemist made out from OG, which he also played a couple of times during the group stage. But I think the PA is really...
That kind
30
of
seconds to showtime.
Momentum shifting hero that MVP can bring into the fight. What do you think about the overall draft? There's very few teams that come out and run a full 5 melee lineup.
About time.
Yeah, it's very risky, especially when you have all this AoE from the Earth Spirit and the Bat Rider. Like, Napalm's going to be a huge issue, not to mention the last pick, Timbersaw. I think this is kind of an ideal Timbersaw game. Maybe not as many strength.
The contest for the top rune, the Iron Shell's already up. He's going to go.
Here we go. That's a first blood.
I told you to stop getting blood on my legs!
As the bounty hunter, he can't go infants for another 5 seconds, but he'll bail out. The runes still end up going the way. In fact, both bounty runes went to MVP into the hands of Faceless Void as well as the PA. Heavy. Orb of Venom just harassing Crypt back out again. He's going to control up this jungle nicely.
They're very reliant on the Ion Shield this game, and OG drafted potentially 2 ways to get rid of the Ion Shield with the Demonic Purge and a Diffusal Blade Carrier in the Juggernaut. You can tell OG, they're prepared. All these early game clarities, they're grouping up around the runes, just expecting this level of fighting. We already see a charge on bottom from Dubu. See if he gets as lucky with the bashes.
Yeah, it seems to be more of a zone out kind of thing. Moon is going to have a real good time up against MP. As we said, melee versus sticky napalm is always going to favor the Bat Rider, which is checking middle lane as the sentry ward down for Moon. They're going to see Femi boulder forward. Duo will take it for the bounty hunter, and they're both going to move back out again. This time around, they don't have that Iron Shell damage they had around the top rune fight. They have to give space to OG.
These 2 heroes are still level 1. They're still trying to kill people. It's going to be a problem once Reactive Armor gets up on Miracle too. Let's see if he picks up level 2 at level 3, but if that happens, I'm not exactly sure where Febby's going to go.
You made this a survive lane? Well, Febby will get rid of the sentry ward, so he's freer to move in the mid lane. No extra sentry over on crit. And in fact, it's Fly who's holding on to the other 2 at the moment. But they still have to keep tabs on where this bounty hunter is moving, and the bounty one of those rare times as well, because they can just leech experience off, not until they can make him abandon the bottom lane and start stacking up inside the jungle for him.
I don't know if he's going to leave. I don't think he needs to. As the draft panel mentioned, like, they don't have a good zoning support at all. Spirit Breaker's okay, but he has no easy way to get rid of the stick and napalm.
Top rune. No big damage from a crit. Didn't actually boulder out. The SB's on his way in. It's a long charge back underneath the G1 tower, but it's already done. The Darkseer finds the extra kill, and Dubu will run away, so 2-2 on the board.
And OG have invested some minion sentries, but maybe not enough. MVP are winning the ward battle in the mid lane at the moment. And
we must discuss conservation.
He can help out, make sure those kills get secured, also keeps the vision up. He's going to charge back down to bottom lane, so MP doesn't really have a lot to play around with. Like, he has a stick charge, no points up in time lock, instead it's tough dilation. He's trying to play up against Moon with, so Moon will turn to sticky napalm. MP with the extra badge is still not going to be enough to kill off Moon. Very safe down there with his boots. High movement speed to get away.
I'm surprised they didn't go for the double bash lane. Double that thing up. MP.
He will be dropping down. Enough damage to fly to get a kill. The double iron shells were there, and Febby looking to soak up a little bit more with the extra attack on the fly. He can't kill
Radiant's
it. He can
top
only
tower's
harass it.
hurting.
But that's the last consumable down for the SD.
And they are...
Dire's
very
bottom
light on
tower's
protection in
getting the
top
business.
lane. Shadow Demon, one of the better supports to deal with that Darkseer. Rev might have a troublesome time if he's not in the jungle.
Because he had to give the extra sentry wards over to Crit. Crit would have brought another one of those sentries to the mid lane. And held on to the other one.
And they need to make sure that QO isn't out of control. He's the main person that you always want to shut down on MVP.
My eyes up on this top lane. The iron shells are always up, so No-Tail's got to be careful. I setting when the bounty hunter will move, but it's the 4-minute mark, so again the contest for the top room will begin. Febby will try and steal the one from Miracle. Keep that impossible, but a bit more of a cover. He's revealing with it. Maybe he's going to drop. A little bit too predictable. The battle for the rune. Timber actually got a regen as well.
They knew exactly where he was going to be.
What do you really get in return? You fill up your Oris bottle against a bounty rune.
Okay, you just need like one of these bounty hunter to pay off in the later game when you get the track kills. Crit smoked around behind him in the mid tower.
Yeah, they're preparing. Observer Ward behind the tier 1s. They can see QO and understand how many reinforcements he's got. Miracle also feels like with this aggressive maneuver, just preparing QO for the Earth Spirit roll.
Radiant's top tower is taking hits.
With Crit to lay aggressive wards. If there's an alchemist, it will normally be towards the southern side, but they're actually placing it in a different part of the map this time to see if reinforcements are coming behind QO so they can kill Miracle.
Fly's going to arrive. There's no Observer Ward to scout out this movement. The only obs actually down for OG aggressively is about to time out. In fact, it just does do so back behind the tier 1 tower on the top lane. So it's really kind of blind. They've prepped a new one which is a little bit deeper inside the jungle. They still don't know where OG supports are moving, and that's very dangerous with Crit's Earth Spirit.
Bottom lane looks to be in a little bit of trouble. OG making a move down there without a smoke at the moment, probably just a warding mission.
With the ward, they do see the faces void. Before he's level 6, it was a small opportunity to maybe gank up MP. But with their lineup, painting off stuns, Destruction doesn't really work the way they would like it to.
Yeah, they don't have Flame Break on the Bat Rider, so it's not going to be easy.
They're pinging out. They want to move instead. Be careful of the timing. Disruption and kick.
Is this
not the right thing. You're coming out from Crit Blind. This will allow Duper to charge away. So a missed kill there, but also up on the top lane. It was the Darkseer and the
Dire's top tower. You know the drill.
It looks like he was out of man on the top lane. Maybe he popped his mango and still perished in the meantime.
QO is now going to try and battle Miracle for the room. Keeps the ball against the bounty room from Miracle. Critical thing when it keeps the bottle charges low, but Miracle tries to man fight it. There's bottle charges available.
Dire's top tower's getting beat down.
Back to his tier 1 tower.
I like the other times that they drafted PA in the group stage. It was against a lot more physical damage, like life stealers, for example. This game, the Lord isn't terribly useful, and I think Timbersaw is going to continue to be very useful against her. He's doing very well in terms of CS.
Trouble brewing at Radiant's bottom tower.
And rightly
No
so,
breaking down the Radiant structures like this.
The Radiant jungle, Miracle, a little bit further over on
Radiant's
the
bottom tower seen better days.
Or he's maxing out.
Top lane, No-Tail might be in trouble here. It's another strong maneuver, but they've already used their charges. No-Tail can spin back underneath his tier 1 tower in safety.
I also like how OG snagged the jug immediately in the second phase. He's like one of the few safe lanes that can actually deal with this charge.
You lose face. Somebody's on a roll.
You need a time look in there.
Some slash and burn, Batrider.
That's 4 in a row. 2 down.
Saw that
Miracle will
coming.
get a double kill. 4 kills in total now for OG.
Man, he just seemed like the best laner to deal with this sort of thing. And he had an arcane rune going that whole time. If they don't kill him very soon, he has Timber Chain up in 3 seconds. 0.8 to be exact.
So quick, so damaging. Same 4 kills for Miracle himself. It's the perfect time for Timbersaw to hit that mid-game streak.
No rest for the wicked. They see Spearbreaker charging. There's already an observer ward behind these towers, so these observers are prepped for these Spearbreaker rotations. And OG, they are not getting caught off guard by MVP game plan at all.
They definitely are not. The first
Regeneration!
Not really having to decide.
But you have 5 melee heroes.
Yeah, you can't really do much with it. Like, even with PA, like maybe with a Juggernaut, you can jump in an Omni Slash. PA, you almost have to rely that you have someone on the edge of the Chronosphere.
Maybe later they can get a Battle Fury and they can throw some daggers and have some crit wonders inside the Chrono, but aside from that, it's not that much damage actually throwing into the Chronosphere aside from Bio Shell.
Moon. Chrono's still on cooldown with only 1 point up in time lock. Faceless Void really isn't that menacing.
Smoke from OG, flying crit around the mid lane.
Maybe it's also a good time to ask that question about the Faceless Void. The draft hunter was asking about it too. Do you try and build damage on this Faceless Void? You're not just going
Was there a bounty on?
It at least allows MP to back up before he gets killed.
And regarding the Faceless Void, the level 1 time dilation is pretty good versus Bad Ryan.
The Dire might want to mine their top tower.
Play around with. Going for the Vlads. They do win a team fight, they can get road.
Radiant's bottom tower ain't a pretty sight right now. The Dire might want to mine their top tower.
MP will arrive through time dilation.
Radiant's bottom tower's seen better days.
Reactive armor is a lower life, but not enough. A level 3 Shuriken toss from Febby ends Timbersaw's killing spree.
Wow, what a
Radiant's bottom tower ain't a pretty sight, right? Radiant lost one of them bottom towers.
Because of that time dilation.
Well, finally MVP can stop the Timbersaw rampage, you could almost say. There's still other ticking time bombs. Again, Moon has gone for this. He prefers this to win the entire group stage. No early blink.
I wonder if he's considering getting a Vanguard this game. I think we see that sometimes on Juggernaut, maybe when there's not this much fighting, but this game would be really good for him. But maybe in deciding between the Phase Yasha, he walks under a ward.
He does,
Look at all these sentries.
So is Crit. Actually, just for the 2 sentries there from the last fight. Crit's backing up. He knows he doesn't have detection on the side. He's also not level 6 yet. Even with the extra tomes got flowing out, he's still shy.
Dude who's level 6 now, so
Denied!
more opportunities around the map.
MVP still waiting for other critical timing and items. Darkseer does not have that mech up and available.
It looks like Miracle is actually going for a push first. Not a build we see too often on Timbersaw. Most of the time it's a Blood Zone, but perhaps getting in this game to deal with pretty much just the item show, I'd say.
Dire's top tower's getting beat down.
Over on the point.
Radiant's mid tower could use a hand. Dire's top tower, you know the drill.
But the now bailing out as Miracle jumps up higher, looking for the kill on Dubu. Gonna find Forev there too. Remember, there is no mech yet up for MVP. Don't want to have a full-on team fight. But Dire's Moon, this may be an easier target. But FB, he couldn't get himself out.
Roasted, toasted, and
throw him down. Rip him up. Time dilation to a double chronosphere. Hold him there. Duo can't really help that yet. While the rest of OG back 3-man wall. Forev keeps it down. They need more damage. Even just kill off. He's going to come to help him out. And Miracle.
Time grinds even mountains to dust.
Forced up north. There's a double kill. Help Miracle. Again, the bleeding starts. And Timbersaw's enjoying it. They go back through the
Radiant's mid tower.
Endurance rises
big
must
quick
suffer.
Dubu with another strike. He's going to pick up the Earth Spirit for Rev once more. Another Iron Shell, another surge. QO, do you really want to break this close? Finds up a hate through on the top river. Into a follow-up shot for the Omni side. Miracle, put the Spirit Breaker down. Febby's looking for more, but Miracle, he's just too quick and too armored.
Guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower?
We got what we were expecting from this game. Heavy battles from both sides.
tide of the fight, OG, they really had no choice but to fight under it, and the illusions did a lot of damage afterwards. And one of the deficiencies of the lineup is they don't have any damage in the Chronosphere. There's not an Ion Shell on the face of the void at
Radiant's
the
mid
moment.
tower's getting banged
And they
up.
also had a lot of trouble dealing with the healing ward at the start of the fight. Who's actually going to get in there and kill the healing ward?
Yeah, unless it's Bounty Hunter at the very beginning.
Yeah, maybe
Here's that. Every time Mickey does stuff, just like he is now on the bottom lane. Chris, there is a charge to the Spirit Breaker. Then the fly, in comes Doom, can you the space? Back, he's give him with a pivot take. He goes through Doom and Forev. There is enough damage to get another revenge kill here.
That's 4 in a row. 2 downs.
Out of my way!
Racking up 8 out of 15 kills of OG.
Dire's
I like
top
the
tower's getting
mentality
beat
coming out of
down.
this game. I think his mindset is like, dying is a necessary evil in this game. I need to die sometimes just because you
The
need
Dire
someone
might
to
wanna
do the damage
mine the
that you
top
build.
tower.
The armor stack on Timbersaw, so you can get the napalm stack on Tim Rider or Bat Rider. You need time to build up your damage on OG.
Someone's having technical difficulties. Radiant structures must have been fortified.
Maybe not visible just yet. They come under the tower. Destruction was done. That's 4 heroes from OG. He'll drop so quickly. OG coming with the numbers. They actually have 5 players here. A full 5 band.
Radiant's mid tower's coming apart.
They win a team fight.
Radiant's mid tower's getting the what for.
Before MVP are in position.
That's okay. MVP knew that.
Dire's top tower, you know the drill. Dire's got one last top tower.
Well, you just want to bring it back to the whole, you know, as long as we get track kills later on, we get a good chrono, maybe a couple of crits, you never know. A Dark Seer back.
And we're
Why
back.
do you think they drafted 2 Bash heroes and a 50% evasion hero? Sometimes they'll roll in your favor.
The MVP RNG dream.
They're missing Ogre though.
And they are. No ding 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 on this one. And MVP, well, they're coming for a kill if they can find one. Forev has already prepped up the Iron Shells and they smoke into the Dire jungle. And Dire already scanning up. What a perfect scan as well. OG, they know exactly what MVP is up to. The Observer Ward goes into the lane. At least MVP now gets to fight with vision.
I think they're working MVP warded because of this. Like it's a very
Dire's top tower, you know the drill.
Lion knows exactly what's going on. So again, the T1 tower's at full HP, but despite that, predicts MVP's next move.
Dire's top tower's getting beat down.
So MP has 1,400 gold over on this faceless void. He asked the question a couple of minutes ago. He's finished at the Vlads. They've got their team fight auras in both Mech and Vlad. Do you now have to start racking up some damage?
I guess the build would possibly be Diffusal, I would say, for damage. We'll see Yasha sometimes. I think, I don't know, it's a difficult game for the Faceless Void. Scepter's okay, but you're not really getting that many kills in your Chronosphere. Well, MVP, they scan under the Dire T1 tower and the scan hit. And I don't know if they're expecting the smoke right now, but MVP are upset.
With here, 2-1! He goes into the backline, finds the Bat Rider, keeps a Stifling Dagger out. He's trying to pick the good fight, but Miracle deals huge amounts of damage. Femi has to play illusion. Another crit. He went for the aggressive disruption on too low to try and buy some space. Now it's Notel on the charge. Back in again, and MVP! They're finding huge kills, especially with such a huge advantage going the way of OG. Every single one of these track kills means so much. Big goal, big swing.
That's a great team fight coming out from MVP. They get split up at the beginning of the fight. Crit tries to go in, but look at this vacuum into Chronosphere. They get him on the edge of the Chronosphere too, so the melee heroes can follow up after that, and that's exactly what they needed.
The Dire best do something about that bottom tower. Them Dire buildings are tough as nails for now.
You make a lot of mana on the Dark Seer, but
Guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower?
And with a heavy team fight, maybe if a competitor go for a Blink Dagger, have even better initiation for Forev. Even though he doesn't seem to need it.
Well, they have the Blink Dagger on Void, and they can just walk up with the Dark Seer with Surge. I think MVP going to Jeff, what's better than 5 heroes running at you? We're gonna make
Dire's bottom tower's getting the business.
Those illusions stay alive for so long. OG actually don't really have the AoE to clear them out, or it hasn't seemed like it. I think Timbersaw should actually
Radiant's top tower's in bad shape.
Very early on in their fight.
or going for the hero kills. At least he'll have the man to do so, but he wants to have hero kills with his Bloodstone is almost near completion for Miracle.
Radiant's top tower is taking hits. 5 in a row.
But he does not.
That is one less voice in my
Miracle
head.
teaming up perfectly.
So losing don't really affect him that much necessarily, but you can see the effect of the supports, like Shadow Demon in particular, saw a self-disruption on him earlier, and then OG grouped around their mid T1. They protected their towers pretty well though. Let the top one fall, the least important one for Dire.
It's also because they can see when MVP are coming every single time. Like that fight in the Radiant Jungle caught them. They wasn't even off guard like the Observer was. They had 3 of them prepared across the Radiant Jungle. So the second MVP made even a move for Dire side, for Roshan, or to that bottom lane. OG knew about it. And then there's an Observer Ward on top of the Radiant Ancients. That just watched 3 MVP players farming up. OG can then freely move into the Radiant Jungle and take that. They just see everything and make the best decisions at hand with all the information.
And then you also need to see the Roshan coming in a couple of minutes. Phantom Assassin has
The Dire might want to mine their top tower.
There's a build that we see QO go for very often. That combined with the Vlad. All they need is one more team fight like that, and they take Roche. They'll take down the T1.
Miracle, very far out. He's just not have a lot of friends around here. Probably a lot of confidence as well. That definitely they really want it. Flies not too far away. The Dark Steel Wall will drop. Miracle's alive.
Six in a row.
Bebby on the retreat. They slow down Miracle with a cycling dagger. The kick flies
Trouble
forward.
brewing at Radiant's bottom tower.
They safe on the high ground. The dust comes down from Moon. Duo dragged back by the last move.
Radiant's bottom tower seen better days.
Bebby stays close enough. Up on the high ground. Miracle
7 in a row.
Miracle.
Radiant's mid tower is getting banged up.
Bebby is away. OG just chaining kills after what was a very obvious bait of Miracle.
MVP knew that it was obvious. They had the Spear Breaker go on the Shadow Demon in the back line, and then you had the Faceless Void trying to run up to spear anyone that was coming in from behind.
Endurance run!
But what they didn't know is that Crit was already prepared. Silenced the Void as he was coming in for the Chrono, and then he immediately died. And this is a Void with a Blink Dagger. You did not.
I'll take that as tribute.
The reason why Crit, the Earthshaker, continues to get picked for OG. Man is a god on that hero.
He certainly is.
Ours MVP who are looking for an opening. They've only got Febby running on the front lines. Advantage for MVP as there was no Observer Wards in this area. Talking about the movements of Febby, you might have expected OG to go in for Roshan.
Now they have the Dezo on the PA, so a lucky Crit can easily blow up the Earth Spirit or Shadow Demon who don't have that much armor. Shadow Demon in particular who doesn't have Tranquils.
Is that what MVP's supposed looking to do in every single fight? Like get QO into the back line of OG?
He has to be a little bit careful because if Fly makes illusions of the PA with a Soul Catcher and a ult, then he might actually be in a little bit of trouble. So wait until Shadow Demon is like in a bad position. He can easily get caught out by the AoE. You don't need 2-0 to eliminate the Shadow Demon. You just really need Darkseer and Faceless Void to get at least 2 heroes, I would say. It should be 3 with the backing though.
MVP uses scan expecting maybe OG to flank around them. There's an invis rune for Miracle. They don't understand that Timberstorm is standing in the middle of their team. Now the Chakram, well off target however. Miracle just chaining himself away to safety as MVP once again. They were grouping up for a full 5-man fight. And they just don't see the opportunity for initiation until now. 4-man smoke. They're looking for an opening. A charge will come first. Who does he find? It's going all the way down to Juggernaut.
Dire's mid tower's having technical difficulties.
Away, the fight splits up. Darkseer Wall is keeping a lot of them away and Crit just isolated.
Dire's mid tower could use a little help.
But again, he's just playing that bait game. Going to be waiting for his next charge target. With no Earth Spirit down, there's no silence to dissuade.
Dire's mid tower won't last much longer.
MVP is trying to lure them back to the Observer Ward. They have Observer Ward in the river. They don't necessarily want to fight deeper, closer to
Dire's mid tower's having technical difficulties.
Going to catch them by surprise.
running so low in mana without the Darkseer wall. Is this even still
Dire's
sticking
mid tower
around?
could use a little help.
That's the decision that MVP is faced with.
Maybe not when Earth Spirit's back up. He just respawned, but they need to wait for OG to come to them. And OG don't have the greatest Roshan lineup, so MVP, they're safe to leave the pit.
OG actually slip it and do Roshan. There's a big creep wave up on top that MVP's got to go and take care of.
It's just Jug. Timbersaul's like okay at tanking, but it would just take far too long. And if OG's heroes are missing, they've been fighting at 5 the entire game. As soon as 5 heroes go missing on the map, you know that they're either going to smoke them, which MVP are okay with, because they're the ones that are actually looking to find corners.
Nice little room for QO for the next fight, holding on to the haste rune as he's going to farm the top, brings him closer towards that BKB.
There's a little gem pick up on crit, so he got pretty rich off that last fight, but not choosing to go for early blink dagger. And this could be a risky proposition. FP's already been dying a decent amount, but maybe looking to go for the long game. Items up in case they don't want to invest thousands and thousands of gold on sentries.
Kind of one of those fun games as well for Craig. Normally this guy's got a very early veil, but he has to spend the money on the gem. With the 0-5-11 KDA, you can understand why.
Gold.
So there's so much money.
Dire's mid tower won't last much longer. Can't do nothing about Dire's structures right now. Dire's mid tower's having technical difficulties.
Continues to farm until the next item progression.
They're not really getting too much money on the Spear Breaker. Ideally, you'd Midas, I would say, on him at this point.
The Dire might want to mine the top tower.
Midas, and you're gonna die in most of these fights. He is the fluffiest tank that they have on the side of MVP.
Dire's top tower, you know the
Every time I
drill.
watch Miracle move, there's 3 OG players just a stone's throw behind him. And now OG actually leaving Miracle on the back lines. It's Moon to the front lines, they put a hit there. Over on him, and a jump on Chris! They're looking for about 3 seconds!
8 in a row. 9 in a row. 2 down.
Two for one trade-off. MVP should be counting their lucky stars to get away with only 2 deaths. But now OG to make a break for Roshan. The healing ward's available, so this should be easy for him.
Trying to recover.
Dire's top tower's getting beat down.
6, but it doesn't really matter. He got a 3-man stun right there, and the more important part is that he's in a really difficult position. Like, he doesn't want a Chrono with solo Earth Spirit. He doesn't want a Chrono Spirit, a Timbersaw who's out in front, but they don't have vision in the back.
That could be gonna break the smoke. He was waiting for this smoke maneuver. And he's the man who's probably the tankiest of all of OG.
Dire's mid tower. Somebody's on a roll. I guess that's 10 in a row. Let's do something about that bottom tower. They got lost count. 2 down. The Dire best do something about that bottom tower.
They find that kill. Miracle now. Time walk in the river. Chrono is still a battle. Time walk up. They could do it. Roshan only at 1/3 of his life. They have the Darkseer wall. The problem is without the PA, they don't have the damage to kill off Roshan.
And Roshan is a death trap for OG. I guess that, and for MVP too. You don't really want to fight into the Batrider and the Timbersaw there, but I like the way that Timbersaw was out in the front, just making sure the MVP could not.
Dire's mid tower could use a little help.
He popped the smoke, but they still got.
Dire's mid tower's nothing now.
That was absolutely wonderful. You can see them trying to help out. The Flamebreaker at least puts Dubu down, but. And that's Spirit Breaker. He was picked for one solid reason, and that was to cause chaos with MVP. And with combination of the Darkseer, it worked perfectly.
And I remember just last PI, that same exact position where Cedek used that on their way to victory.
I like to see it time and time again if we have more of that. The BKB is done, so the
Radiant's bottom tower ain't a pretty sight right now.
Wow, he's gotten a lot of farm since his Desolator. I'm surprised, especially considering that he died that last fight. Pretty quick BKB to follow up.
While Miracle's progression's not really going that far apart from Bloodstone charges.
And more importantly, no tail.
I say that when he's still so far in front of the network, but Miracle now caught out the grid. Forward with the time lock they need. And they bring him down. Triple to run away.
Radiant's top down match.
They keep the PA alive, so now they can go for Rotan. Miracle, he will try and be a problem child. And the blank up, QO clipped by Moon. He needs a way to come down. He's waiting for his stifling dagger.
Radiant's top tower is taking hits.
Miracle,
Radiant done the deed.
of MVP with Jaeger's Immortal into the hands of PA.
Radiant's top tower is in bad shape.
Superman, he didn't actually pop his Lotus Orb early enough that fight, and he's got bashed out.
This job. MVP as well, like, not just settling for one. You think up against a team like OG, you might be so scared that you would say, like, let's just take one and be happy with that. MVP, the lead chrono, gets the second one. They can understand. It's just get as much as you can out of every single fight.
Do you see that crit? It took him down to like 70% of his HP.
That's the beauty of PA. MVP, like they're the only team at TI so far that's had real success with it. And
now
there's the swing.
All it takes is a couple fights, Toby.
That it does. We still haven't even thought about like the effect the Bounty Hunter has had on this game. He continues to get a lot of tracks off during the fight, staying alive through a lot of it as well. And all this money just like rolled in for MVP. We talked about the BKB only just being done by QO getting a lot of money. Now he's got a Bash coming out in the Courier too. So
Radiant's mid tower could use a hand.
Had, like, the Bash Lords of
Dire's top tower's getting beat down. Dire's structure's looking fortified.
And on top
Radiant's
of that,
mid tower's coming apart.
OG to make some
Dire's top tower, you know the drill. Dire's lost the top tower.
The Batrider's not playing as a
Radiant's mid tower's getting banged up.
So they can't play like they want to.
MVP are coming. Miracle is the only man.
Trouble brewing at Radiant's bottom tower.
Annihilation! The title! Miracle! He has to take away the
Two down. Radiant's bottom tower's done for. Dire's top tower's getting beat down. Dire's top tower's gone. Trouble brewing at Radiant's bottom tower.
The Timber is up in 11 thanks to that Bloodstone. But MVP,
Dire's top rags didn't make it. Dire's top rags is the Dire's top rags is all to pieces. Radiant's bottom tower ain't a pretty sight right now.
First rack here on the main stage.
OG, it seemed like they made the necessary preparations to deal with MVP's aggression, but I think a couple of decisions in the game like really proved to be their downfall. I think one in particular is the battle period of Juggernaut. Like this is not a farming game. It might be good to get your farm up, but how often have they been split up? How often is MVP like not running at you as 5? There's like almost 50 kills at this point of the game, and a fighting build like PA could have also gone for battle period, but she going for the
haste.
Vlads on the basis of way 2 BKBs coming out all around, and now Juggernaut's be very, very fragile.
And that's not what you want to have. They need to find OG the better initiation. That's what gave them the confidence in the first 10 minutes. They always had vision of MVP moving across the map. They were able to set themselves up properly. They read MVP's movements, the smokes, the scans, everything was on point. Right now, Fire Observer, they got one on the bottom lane, and that's all. They hardly see the movement of OG. Not that this movement is that hard to read. There's still 2 bottom towers available for MVP to take, and if OG want to fight this, they have to.
Guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower?
And he vision on the high ground.
The Dire gave up the bottom tower.
Tower is already going to drop, and OG is preparing for defense.
Looks like they're going in soon. They had the defuse on Juggernaut. Pretty good versus the time dilation. So I think it would have been came out early, because then Timbersaw wouldn't have to go to Lotus, so he could actually go for more armor. So he can deal with
Dire's bottom tower's getting the business.
Ollie's still the casual He's waiting for it. Let the back combo. Miracle takes half the life of QO. A quick. Oh no! Still. Careful of the stifling dagger.
Dire just couldn't save that bottom tower.
Moves half of his life. Miracle again in the front. They call no power the back line. They're looking for the kill.
Endurance
He's ripping apart the back line of OG. No time trying to create the drop almost 1,000
Radiant's mid
gold in
tower
his
could use a
death
hand.
of Crit. And
Dire's
Miracle
mid
is
tower
gonna
won't last
kill
much
Dubu as well.
longer.
Swirling gas, imitate.
2 down.
It was almost too easy. Crit with the double kill. from
Radiant's
Pick.
mid tower's coming
While all
apart.
that's going on, remember, MVP are still a rank up. But that's a good fight for OG.
Only a good way to start. And I like the zoning chrono here from MP. They decided to chrono the 2 farm heroes and then just go for everyone in the back. I guess that's a way you can make a 5 melee lineup work with chronos here.
Problem is when the Chronosphere wears off and then the cores come back, you've got the kills on the supports, but you got nothing else to throw.
They also need to make sure that they deal with the lasso. If they didn't have the Aegis that fight, they would have just had to turn tail and run immediately after the lasso. The Lotus Orb is a start. I think like Lotus Orb and actually slow sieging might be okay, but then again, that's not really what MVP style is.
No, it's not. It's all about run, and then
Bountiful.
They could trap 2 bounty hunters, they definitely would.
only track and stack.
Radiant's top tower's hurting.
As OG now, they're gonna
Have fun trying to bust down Radiant structures now.
And Dire, okay, they're scanning over towards Ancients. They're expecting MVP to farm this. Ebby is just on the edge of it, but he's not triggering the scan. Oh, he just jumped himself in! Never mind the kill in front, he's looking behind off the battle of With too good on the battle, the target coming forward, MVP. They really want to fight this. Chris, he folded himself. He resisted the disruption. They can do MVP.
That's 4 in a row.
And Chris the back, the back. Miracle is walking to the lead. Swinging a back hat. Not when Dubu's
2 down.
And then they moved to Miracle. They need the back in control. Lotus Orb helping Miracle for the moment. They cycling. He jumps back in again. There's your going back. Where's your control? Dubu's going to bring it another charge forward. 3 down for OG. It might be 4, but Miracle is just still so damn tanky. And Dubu has to be careful around that. They can find the other core. This moon. 5 Fasting. Striking from the high ground. Killing him off Miracle. Not by somehow, but it's basically 9k on 5 at the moment. The Lotus Orb up, pivoting away.
How about that?
Duo again, finding the crit, finding the kill, and OG lose everything.
You can see that they're one of the few teams that continuously pick Spear Breaker. He kind of acted like a faceless void there, just controlling everyone in the fight. Great charges and healing himself up. He was like critical himself and just went right back in.
Dream fights again coming.
Dire's mid tower could use a little help.
Is the net worth advantage? Even if the experience is going to be closer, the money bank is just being fueled of MVP.
Dire's mid tower is having technical
For a
difficulties.
second round, they won't get it this time around unless they force a big fight. Chrono is still available. You don't have the Dark Steel wall, but it's only 8 seconds on cooldown. They start the damage up, Bat Rider will arrive.
They're really struggling against the BKB as the MVP Phoenix right now. This is where Juggernaut needs to come in with all the physical damage. He's trying to build an MKB right now, and he's just seems like he's a little bit behind in terms of items. And I don't think he can buy MKB at this point. He needs a buyback.
If that's the situation you face, I need a buyback to try and survive.
Yeah. In the network chart, he's not looking so hot too. He's number 4, like well behind the PA at this point, who is doing the most of the work of the physical damage on MVP's team. OG around the secret shop. They have wards. Top lane is getting pushed in.
Dire's mid tower is having technical
And they see
difficulties.
perfectly that MVP is going to try and come in from the left side. It could be an attempt for Roshan, but Roshan's not
The
available
Dire
yet.
couldn't
And they're
hang
going
on to
the
that
front
mid
line.
tower.
Now OG have picked up a new gem, but Febby already broke the smoke before he came in range of the gem, who is being carried by the So Dubu what is him up? And
5 in a row. 6 in a row. 2 down. That's 4 in a row.
But the Dark Steel wall makes it very, very difficult
The
to
Dire
fight.
best do something about that bottom tower.
MVP comes back in and knows now. Isolated around MVP. Miracle, the sole survivor, TP's home. They lost their tier 4 tower.
Dire's mid tower won't last much longer.
I like how they all he had was like treasure. It's like whatever, we'll throw a Lotus Storm on you.
Dire's mid tower could use a little help.
And they always have their like unimportant heroes up front, and then they eliminate the 2 supports pretty quickly. They got a wall onto No Tail near the end, and Kuro is wrecking in these fights.
It didn't even seem like the perfect initiation. The Chrono Spear at the same time as Darkseid was trying to go for
Hope the Dire weren't partial to that mid tower. No breaking through the Dire structures for now.
This shows how far MVP are ahead in their teamwork.
Really
Five in a row.
There goes FC down again.
How about that?
The moment you were born.
7 in a row. Dire's mid tower is having technical difficulties. Dire's mid racks is getting smart. 6 in a row.
self-described philosophy on how to approach the game.
And these cavemen knew how to learn how to use fire. A terrific performance from MVP, sticking to their roots, playing with an aggressive Phantom Assassin. Didn't look like a right combo, right? Like you get yourself a Faceless Void, combining up with a 4 melee lineup, but for me, like that swing just started happening. The Radiant jungle fight, that was the start of it all, and then MVP, another great initiation on top to another Rax. It's the dream start for the Koreans.
The supports needed a little bit more from this game. They had a really hard time. Like, ideally you want Ghost Scepters, you want anything to try and stop this PA from slaughtering your backline, and Kuo just had his way with them. And he didn't even have that great of a time at the start.
Yeah, he didn't. He slowed up, but where'd they get their space?
Bounty Hunter.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're throwing it down to that.
Spear Breaker too. I mean, it was their support duo just made so much space for them.
Mm-hmm. The fact that she also got the kill on the Juggernaut very early on, it was something which we weren't really looking at closely, but like No Tail's progression, he had all that top lane by himself and then died to a Darkseid Spirit Breaker combo, and then no items really arrived.
I really disagree with the Battle Fury build. I think like the Diffusal Manta would have worked a lot better for that particular sort of game. They really needed to get Roshan that game. I think that Roshan fight has actually really turned it around.